weeks who told me something similar. You're connecting to a guy who seems to check many boxes in your list. He's showing up, he's a cool guy, he's saying the right things, he's inviting you, he's paying for meals, but then all of a sudden, around date number 3, 4, 5, somewhere along those lines, he changes in some way. He doesn't text you that morning, or he doesn't text you 3 days in a row, or he forgets to call you, or he says let's do something on Friday and then he doesn't tell you about it. So what can you do when you're in a situation where you feel like things were going right, but the guy's basically changing a little bit his dynamic, and you want more to happen, but at the same time you don't want to feel like you have to now make shit happen, because that feels like it's not your job, and it frankly isn't. Most women who start stepping up into their masculine and start now pursuing the guy a little bit show up as with less value than they really have, and the guy loses even more interest. You get the opposite result of what you want, and if you've ever done this, you probably know this to be true. So I'm going to give you a 3-step process to eliminate this unnecessary pain from your life and by doing less. So step number 1 is I want you to replace doing by being. Here's what I mean. In the situation, the context of you dating a man, his job is to make shit happen. That's what a guy does. A guy who's interested in you, in any case. Your job is to be. Your job is to receive. Your job is to be open. Your job is to be alive. Your job is to open your heart. Your job is to be a safe container for him to actually get to know you. So if you're doing those things, if you're showing up with grace, elegance, and presence, and when you connect with a man, you're being instead of doing, if you replace your need to make stuff happen with the need to just simply be yourself, but the most happy and the most congruent and the most honest version of yourself, that's all you need to do. Okay, that's step number 1, replace doing by being. Step number 2 is I want you to understand that you should only invest in a guy who's heavily investing in you. I'm underlining the word heavily. Here's why. Because most men who show up wishy-washy or who change their heart or their interest in you or their frequency of something, they will come back if they feel like there's no value in you or if there's not something else going on in their life that prevents them from doing so. Now, here's the situation. If the guy found somebody else, well, let him do whatever he wants. If the guy is not as interested, let him not connect with you, because that means it's going to be painful for you all along. So if in that moment, okay, where the guy is not showing up the way you want to, you decide, basically, I'm only going to connect with guys who are a hell yes kind of guy for me, who are clearly showing their intentions, then you're going to eliminate at least half of the guys of the dating pool that are wishy-washy, time wasters, energy vampires, and you're going to be a lot more free and a lot more alive. You'd rather spend time on your own than with a guy who's not clear in his intentions. Here's why. Because a guy is going to be clear in his intentions based on his actions, and here's what most women don't get. Most women love to connect verbally and communicate things. Men don't. Men communicate best with actions. So if the guy is saying, you're the most amazing, most beautiful woman in the world, and he's not stepping up to be the kind of guy, well, if you're the most beautiful woman in the world, wouldn't he want to connect with you and invite you and pay for your meals, right? If he says those things but he's not taking action, that means he's not heavily investing in you. So if he's not clear in his intentions, or if he's wishy-washy about his intentions, or if his intentions shift in the middle of the dating process, then put him aside, and when he decides to step up to the plate again, give him time if you haven't found somebody else. If you found somebody else, then politely decline. Okay, step number 3 is enjoy the silence. Enjoy the silence means this. When you connect with a guy, I want you to know that there's a space where you don't have to say anything. You don't have to fill up the empty void with making things or with jokes or with anything other than your aliveness and presence and fun. Okay? So when you take the time, and it takes courage to do this, to step back and enjoy the silence, whether it's real silence or metaphorical silence, meaning the guy texts you today and he doesn't do so for the next 3 days, enjoy the silence. Don't try to fill up the empty space by you connecting with him and asking him, are you still alive? If he is alive, he will connect with you again if he's interested. If he's not, that means he's not the kind of guy who you want to connect with anyways. Okay? So I know this seems like a counter productive sometimes, because you want to make sure that you're used to doing things to make things happen. With a guy, the rules are a little bit different. The less you do, the more you're open to receiving, and the more you're being present and full of yourself, the more the guy will want to do for you. The more you have this anxiety and want to do things for him and remind him that the date is today, and when he doesn't call you, it's like to step up and do something for him, the less value you show and the less he wants to connect with you. I hope this is interesting to you. If you find this is useful, I'd love to invite you to do a couple of things. Number one, click like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below. But also,